My name's Brian Kingdeski. This is my wife, Gina Kingdeski.
Hi.
This is actually part of our story. So the question that PadSplit gets a lot is, how does PadSplit compare to Airbnb or a long-term rental?
We are fix and flippers by trade. Both of us have a real estate background. Brian's been doing fix and flips for 25 years. I come from the new home industry. Quite a few years ago, we joined forces and really started to try and build our rental portfolio. And like so many people out there, we really decided to jump into the Airbnb business. So within 10 months, we bought about 30 Airbnbs. And we were just full stream ahead. We got to the point that we had 11 active while the others were still being renovated. And we were managing them all, making them theme centered and really focusing on the experience for our guests and travelers. Arizona was a hot market, and we had the Super Bowl, we had waste management. And so everybody and their mother decided to put their house as an Airbnb for that weekend. And more people started adding more Airbnbs. So we had a surplus of Airbnbs. And we still had travelers, but we were really struggling with filling those vacancies, especially during the summer months. And so we were recommended, or actually a colleague of ours, Brandon Simmons, said, hey, I think you guys should look into this thing called PadSplit.
It's the second time we heard.
Yeah, that's true. It was the
Second
second time we heard about that. So we did a little research, but not too much research, but we set up a meeting with the sales representative here in Arizona, Ellis, and we went and met at a local restaurant over here. And we went in with a lot of speculations, had no idea what PadSplit was. But after our meeting with Ellis, all of a sudden we were learning more and more about the need for affordable housing. And we were already turned off with Airbnb. We had the summer ahead of us. We're like, oh my gosh, we have $5,000 a month mortgages on these Airbnbs that are sitting empty because we didn't have a pool here in Arizona. And we're like, we have to do something. We walked out of that meeting and I'm like, yes, let's do this. Let's wrap our brains around it. So What did we do?
Yeah, so we had 3 vacation rentals in Scottsdale that were right around each other. All 3 of them did not have pools. And so we just looked at each other. We're like, we do not, like she said, we were burning through $5,000 a month just in the mortgage, not even
per house,
not even the utilities and all that. So we looked at each other. We did obviously some more research, our due diligence, and then we said, hey, let's just test it on one of the vacation rentals. We couldn't make it an 8-bedroom, 3-bath like we normally like to, but we made it a 6-3. So we went in there. The conversion took about 2 weeks. It was, maybe $15,000 because the house was, at the time worth $1 million, and it was beautiful, all the bells and whistles. So we tried it, and then kind of came the discussion of, what are we going to price the rooms at? Yeah. Because, this is not the typical PadSplit home. So we went back and forth, and I think we kind of fell on like, 270 to 285 range. And we went live. We had no idea what to expect. And lo and behold, we broke the PadSplit record and had it filled in 5 days?
Yeah, we had it filled in 5 days.
Yeah.
I think at that time, we were the 7th house to come aboard in Arizona. And the numbers were low, and everybody was kind of going, from the PadSplit side, going, hey, this is where you need to be priced. And we said, no, this is where we need to be priced. And so we booked it up and raised our prices and had no problem filling it at all.
Yeah. It was, definitely a tester. So then once we had that home, we ended up doing 2 others, and then I think we broke another record on the second one, and then the third one. They all filled quickly, so that's kind of how we got into it. So back to the question, how does PadSplit compare to vacation rentals, Airbnb, VRBOs? So, there's a lot to this question.
Yeah, for sure.
We went through a lot when we had 11, 14 going at one time. Tell us about some of the frustrations you had with vacation rentals, and then compare that a little bit to the PadSplit platform.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when you are managing as many homes as we were, especially with Airbnb, the daily annoyances that come up that are out of this world. You just have to deal with those. And the one thing that was a struggle was realizing that your homes are successful not only based on how they look, but your reviews. And so you can always get these travelers that they see these pictures, they come in, and let's say, oh, there's one little hair on the bed. And so it's a clean sheets, but
And
however,
you get a 1-star review.
yeah, and then you get a star review, and then you're
dinged.
struggling with that. The other thing with Airbnb compared to the PadSplit model is the amount of money that we were spending on our cleaners after everybody that was checking in, checking out, all your toiletries, all the things that you're required to provide for an Airbnb. PadSplit kind of takes that away, and you're not spending as much money. I'm not worrying about if the coffee is supplied. I'm not worried about that, hey, I only have 3 rolls of toilet paper in that bathroom. Is that enough to sustain the guests that are going to be there? So PadSplit really looks at providing the essentials for individuals when they move in, and not the necessities. Yeah. The necessities being like toilet paper, paper towels. These people that are moving into PadSplit are really looking for a safe, secure home and clean home. Yeah, so that's what we were focused on. And so taking away from paying the cleaners 5 to 7 times a month and going back to, hey, we're cleaning our common areas twice a month. Even though PadSplit only requires once a month, we really want to have our members have a clean house. And so we go a little bit above and beyond to do the 2 times a month. But going back to Brian's question, like what really was the difference? It was taking that additional stress off of those constant communications with the travelers.
Back in the day, you could buy cheap homes, put a little bit of money, get a tenant in there, you're cash flowing, right? Well, the problem nowadays, especially if you don't have a lot of funds, prices are way higher and interest rates are 6.5%, 7%. So when you math it out and you look at rental rates, you're going to be, if you break even, it's a miracle. If you're putting a lot down, you can. But if you're trying to use the least amount of cash out of your pocket possible, and if you somehow have 0 negative cash flow a month, I think it's pretty close to a miracle. It just doesn't happen as well. Where PadSplit, that should happen. Mm-hmm. So we always, in the math of the ones we have, we always like to do 8 bedrooms, 3 baths. We think the ratios are better, and we'll get to some of the things and some other questions about that. But we like those ratios better, and they just work. And when we get about 6 to 6.5 rooms filled, that's when we start seeing the break even, and then the rest goes down to the bottom line in cash flow.
Going back to when we first found out about PadSplit and meeting with the sales rep here in Arizona, the thing that stuck out to me the most really had to be the need to help people. We're always praying and asking God to give us opportunities on how we can serve. And so when we found out about PadSplit and realized that this was a way that we could help people, we really decided to dive into it. We took it on as our mission to give back to the community. Having that heart behind it really helps you be more invested in your investment, and also the people that are there. One of the biggest things that I've discovered with owning PadSplits is that the people are very grateful to be at your home. Like Brian said, a lot of people are either homeless, are transitional, and just trying to make ends meet. The average rental here in Arizona for a 1-bedroom apartment is about $1,400. And that does not include utilities, internet, or anything like that. So for these individuals, coming in at $850 to $950 a month and having all those utilities available for them and included in that makes living available for them. They can get back on their feet. They can start building their credit. They can get to the point that they feel safe and confident to either get back out in the workforce or start, building relationships with other people again. Some of our greatest memories with PadSplit have been, it was Mother's Day. We happened to stop by at one of our PadSplits here in Gilbert, Arizona, and it's just right around the corner from our house. So we like to have a presence in our home. And we walk in on a Sunday morning and everybody's cooking pancakes together. Yeah. Everybody is supporting each other and becoming that community within the house. So that gives them a sense of family. Yeah. I know at one of our Scottsdale properties, Thanksgiving, they all got together and they cooked dinner together because this is their sense of community. And so that brings joy to us. Yeah. That helps fulfill the mission. At the same time, we are, like Brian said, we're cash flowing and we're building equity in the home that we have.
PadSplit says that the person that stays in our home, they make anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, $45,000 a year. So do some research on your own. Find out how many people in your area, your county, make that much money. And you can search it online. I did the same. And then you can find out how many people are in your state. That's about how many people need affordable housing. Now, you can break that down any way you want and take a conservative route and percentages. But when you're doing the math here, there's about a need here, about 15 to 25,000 doors, just in Arizona alone. So I really believe that PadSplit, as it grows, you're going to see the municipalities kind of get behind us. You're going to hear the story about how it's helping people, cleaning up the homeless crisis. Like, this could be a tool to do all that.